Every year, millions of people around the country spill into streets, dressed as fairies, goblins, characters from their favorite movie franchise, and everything in between, partying and making mischief. But outside of a good time, how many know why they do it? Today, Halloween is a billion-dollar industry. But exactly how did it get there? While today Halloween is synonymous with commercialism, it wasn't always that way. The word Halloween comes from the words hallow, meaning holy person, and een, deriving as a contraction of Eve. And All Hallows Eve finds its origins all the way back in the time of the ancient Celtic pagans with the holiday of Samhain, a 3-day fire festival that essentially celebrated death and rebirth. The Celts, who lived in what is now Ireland, Scotland, the UK, and parts of Northern Europe, based their calendar on the Wheel of a Year, essentially divided into two halves, the light and the dark. When one gave way to the other, this transition was marked by a fire festival. The word Samhain translates into modern Irish to summer's end. Samhain celebrated the dead, and particularly the celebratory feast paid homage to loved ones who had passed away recently, essentially as an invitation for their spirits to rejoin the living. Many of Samhain's original rituals have been lost, but what we do know of their holiday traditions from Celtic folklore and ancient Roman historians is that they were intended to connect them to spirits, including costumes, most likely animal or furs to help them hide from the unfriendly ones, feasting, and making lanterns from hollowed-out gourds, seemingly the birth of the modern pumpkin jack-o'-lantern. Sacrifices, generally of crops or animals, were made during this time as an offering to the spirits. It was popular for tricks or pranks to be played by humans and blamed on mischievous spirits. As a result of the Roman invasion, with most of the Celtic land being conquered by Rome in 43 CE, the spread of Christianity and Catholicism would force pagan Celtic traditions to evolve or be completely repressed. In part, many Celtic traditions and popular pagan practices were reframed to fit within a Christian narrative, as a way of converting people with greater comfort and ease. Samhain would evolve into All Saints' Day, which was also referred to as All Hallows' Day, and was intended to be a day to celebrate the Christian saints and martyrs. Essentially, instead of honoring pagan gods and mischievous spirits, they now celebrated Christian figures. While the sacrifices were replaced by food offerings to the poor, the tricks and pranks continued, but instead they were now attributed to the spirits of the saints. Halloween evolved as a more secular version of All Hallows Eve, and eventually it would become more popular in common practice than All Saints' Day.
Shalom, Kohalayim La, Yahawah Hashem Yahawashi. I'm sick of the Sales of GMS and on the Sadakim, and peace and bless you, brothers and sisters that listen, hopeful elect. Kohalayim La, Yahawah Hashem Yahawashi. And I'll do a quick lesson today to the power of Yahawah Hashem Yahawashi on Halloween or Hallows Eve or Samhain. I did lessons on this in times past, but I'm going to show the connection with the Roman Catholic institution of Christianity, man. Christianity is tied to everything, man. Every pagan belief, every pagan tradition, some way, somehow, Christianity somehow married itself to it, man, to adopt more followers, you see. And we know Halloween, the ancient Celts, the Druids, gave sacrifices to appease spirits, humans or animals, because they believe those spirits would give them a good harvest, during the harsh winter. And you have these other crazy tales and the jack-o'-lantern, all these crazy folklore myths, right? So those jakes up there in Ireland, Wales, Scotland, they were just going off, man. Okay, they believe in a lot of superstitions. You see, and that's all pagan, man. Matter of fact, before I read that article, let me read what the Apostle Paul said. I think it's Acts 17. When he was on Mars Hill. See, Acts 17. There we go. Acts 17, verse 17. Therefore disputed he in the synagogue, who the Apostle Paul, with the Jews and with the devout persons in the market daily with them that met with him. So Paul was on fire, man. Then certain philosophers of the Epicureans, who were pleasure-driven, and the Stoics, who were purpose-driven, okay, encountered him. And some said, what will this blabbler say? Some said, he seemed to be a setter forth of strange gods, because he preached unto them Yahawashi and the resurrection. And he took him and brought him unto Areopagus, saying, may we know what this new doctrine whereof thou speakest is? For thou bringest certain strange thing to our ears. So these are all jakes. All right? These are all jakes, just like up there in the conscious community, man. Or going back and forth on different philosophies, strange doctrines. We would know wherefore what these things mean. For all the Athenians and strangers were there spent their time in nothing else. Okay? That's all they did was debate all day, man. Okay? But either to tell or to hear some new thing. Then Paul stood in the midst of Mars Hill. That's where all the great debates happened. And said, ye men of Athens, I perceive that in all things ye are too superstitious, man. Okay? Superstitious, man. Which means they believe in a lot of myths, a lot of urban legends, a lot of false traditions, man. Okay? That's why these people, they celebrate Halloween. Alright? And this is why Christianity, which I'm going to read the article. Alright? I'm going to read the article. That's what the Most High said. Let me get to Isaiah 29:13. He said, Isaiah 29:13, therefore the Lord said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do they honor me, but I have removed their heart from me, their mind. They just give lip service. Scripture says, let's not love in word, but in deed, man. And their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men. Okay, like the Roman Catholic institution, which a lot of sick, demented souls is still believing in the Pope, even though he just came out and gave his blessing to the LGBTQ community. The Pope, the quote-unquote Holy Father, okay? Pretty much the king of the Christian world. You see? Now let me read this article. It's from Henry Ford College. Let me get straight to All Saints Day and All Souls Day, okay? Jump straight to the point. This is all crazy shit. Read this. It says All Saints and All Souls Day. These two holidays are celebrated by Catholics and Anglican Christians, which are denominations or branches of Christianity. Right? We know that. It says All Saints Day is November 1st. It's an opportunity for Christians to remember those they consider saints and martyrs who have died. It's considered a holy day of obligation. According to who, man? According to the book? The Most High has holidays listed already for us to follow, man. All right? Which means believers should attend church services on that day. In the year 1837, Pope Gregory IV established the Feast of All Saints, see the precepts of men, as an annual commemoration on November 1st. All these, when you go into the Roman Catholic, which these were Jakes, and Esau took it over, even from Constantine, you know, they did a lot of things to attract the pagans, or they got a lot of, intertwined a lot of pagan beliefs into the church system, man, to attract more followers. So there wouldn't be no contention, no strife. Okay? That's not what the book says, man. Okay, you don't trim your way to seek love. It says All Souls Day falls on November the 2nd. The day provides a continuation of the spirit of All Saints Day. It's an opportunity for Catholics and Anglican Christians, churches, to commemorate believers who have died. Right? They remember and pray for the souls of people who are in purgatory. So this is all BS, man. See? There ain't no such thing, man. Catholic theology, purgatory is a place or state in which the souls of believers who have died atone for their sins before being allowed into heaven. That's nowhere in the Bible. Nowhere. Okay, hell means the grave, Sheol. And hell, also Gehenna, is talking about the future destruction. You see? The nuclear holocaust, man. That was a place in Jerusalem where they burned bodies in trash. But it was talking about what we're going to experience and see happening in our lifetime real soon, man. The second death, man. The missiles. See? While different Christian denominations have divergent beliefs about how believers enter heaven, but the scripture tells you how you enter heaven, man. What did the Lord tell the thief? From this day forth thou shalt be with me in paradise. Okay? To be absent from the bodies, to be present before the Lord. You go back to the spiritual realm. You go back to the Father of spirits. It's just that simple. What Job even said, where the wicked is at rest, man. Alright? Most Christians believe that heaven is a transcendence place where believers will spend eternity in the company of the Most High. Heaven is considered a place of unparalleled beauty where there's no pain, suffering, or sin. Let me read on down to the Mexican part and I'll jump back to the scriptures. It says, unlike All Saints Day, All Souls Day is not a day of religious obligation. But some Christians still attend services. Well, I'm not surprised. It says, a prayer cycle, the office of the dead, is read in churches that day. Catholics may inscribe the names of their loved ones in the book of the dead. Well, first of all, the Most High is not dead. Well, I'm going to read that. Other rituals include a requiem mass for the dead and visiting family grave sites. That's what the Most High said, that they fear toward me is taught by the precepts of men. In Mexico, El Día de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, is a 2-day holiday which corresponds to All Saints and All Souls Day. It is a colorful celebration in which people wear festive makeup and costumes. It's Halloween. Hold parades and parties and sing and dance in the honor of their lost loved ones. Families take picnics to their family graves and leave food out for their deceased relative. See? So that's Jake always going off, man. Always, man. All right? And, this ain't the first time in the scriptures. When you go into the northern kingdom, Jeroboam did that nonsense too. Matter of fact, let me get that precept. I think it's First Kings. And they're talking about the book of the dead. I'm going to read a scripture where Yahawashi said. All right? Lord ain't dealing with no book of the dead, man. We get at 1 Kings chapter 12. I think it's 32. This might be further up. Let me read. Yeah, it's further up. 1 Kings 12:26. We all know after Solomon went off, the Most High split the kingdom. Jeroboam took the 10 tribes. It says, 1 Kings 12:26. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now shall the kingdom return to the house of David. If this people go to do sacrifice in the house of Yahawashi at Jerusalem, then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their Lord, even unto Rehoboam, king of Judah. And he shall kill me and go again to Rehoboam, king of Judah. Whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold. Same thing that we did when we came out of the land of Egypt. And said unto them, it is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. See, you got Israel to turn away from the Most High, the 10 tribes. And he set the one in Bethel and the other put he in Dan. And this thing became a sin, for the people went to worship before the one, even unto Dan. And he made a house of high places and made priests of the lowest of the people, which were not even the sons of Levi. So he was just going off. And Jeroboam ordained a feast in the 8th month on the 15th day of the month, like the feast that is in Judah. And he offered upon the altar, so did he Bethel sacrifice unto the calves. And he made and placed in Bethel the priests of high places which he made. So he offered upon the altar which he made in Bethel the 15th day of the 8th month, even the month he had devised of his own heart, just like Pope Gregory IV. Okay, just like you Issacharites in your day of the dead, man. You doing things according to your own heart. As scripture says, trust in the Most High with all thy heart and lean not into thy own understanding, man. Right? Because that's leading to what? Your destruction. All right, so he created a whole nother feast, a pagan holiday, and caused the 10 tribes to go off. That's why when you read Hosea 13, read verse 1. It says, when Ephraim spake trembling, he exalted himself in Israel, but when he offended in Baal, he died. He was the chief Canaanite god. And now they sin more and more. All right? And that's why people fail to understand when you keep these pagan holidays, that's a sin. Okay, there's nothing cute about that, man. Dressing your kids up as demons and goblins. There's nothing funny about that, man. Okay, you passing them through the fire, man. And made them molten images of their sylvan idols according to their own understanding. All the work of their craftsmen they saw them, and let the men that sacrifice kiss the calves. Therefore they shall be as the morning cloud, and as the early dew that passeth away, and the chaff that is driven with the whirlwind out of the floor, and as the smoke of the chimney. Alright? The Most High gonna destroy you, man. Because that's what the scripture calls fornication or spiritual adultery. Whoring after other gods, man. Okay? That's against the commandments, man. And and like you read the article, the Book of the Dead. They read that on church service on that day. Yahawashi said this. Mark chapter 12, verse 27. Yeah, he said Mark chapter 12. Let me read on further up. 23. And then the resurrection, therefore, and they have a debate with the Pharisees and Sadducees on whose wife, of the seven would that woman be in the resurrection. Okay, in the spirit or in the spiritual realm. You see? But this way, Yahawashi said, in the resurrection, therefore, when they shall rise, whose wife shall she be of them? For the seven had her to wife. Yahawashi answered, said unto them, do ye therefore err? Because ye know not the scriptures, not the power of the Most High? For when they shall rise from the dead, they neither marry nor given into marriage, but as the angels which are in heaven. Yeah, when you go back to the spiritual realm, it says, as for touching the dead, that they rise, have ye not read in the book of Moses, how in the bush the Most High spake unto him, saying, I am the power of Abraham, and the God of Isaac and of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but the power of the living. He therefore do greatly err, man. So the Most High is not the God of the dead, man. He's the power of the living. All right? So, to hell with all that Book of the Dead bullshit, man. All right? I'm going to read two more precepts and close this thing out. So, All Saints Day, All Souls Day, Halloween, Samhain, it's all one and the same. Okay? They just put different names on it, man. Just like Christmas, Sol Invictus. It's all one of the same thing. Saturnalia. All pagan, Babylonian, Roman traditions. See? That's what the Apostle Paul said, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 20. It says, but I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, so Jake's up there in Ireland, the Druids, okay, and all these other pagan holidays, they sacrificed to devils, and they literally were sacrificing to devils in them groves, man. In the forest, and not to the Most High. I would not that he should have fellowship with devils, man. We don't have fellowship with devils, man. We don't take part in those things, man. Cutting the pumpkin and trick or treating. You have nothing to do with that, man. And if you quote unquote believe in the Most High and the Bible, you should have no part in that either, man. Okay? It says he cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. He cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and the table of devils. Two cannot walk together unless they agree. All right, so I'm closing out this precept here, Revelation chapter 20, verse 12. It says, you guys in the Book of the Dead, this is going to happen. It says, Revelation 20 and 12, and I saw the dead, and this is the second death right here, small and great, stand before the Most High, and the books were open, and another book was open, which is the book of life. That's what the Most High is dealing with, the book of life, man. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and the dead and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in it, which hell is what? The grave. And they would judge every man according to his works. No matter if you're dead or not, man. Son of man come back, you're going to get raised back up. You're still going to be judged, man. All right? It says, and death and hell will cast into the lake of fire. So that cuts that purgatory madness, man. Scripture says, death and hell will cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. Okay, the first death was the flood. The second death is that nuclear holocaust. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. All right, and that's the 2/3, man. Y'all gonna be cast head first into that nuclear holocaust, man. All right, which we not trying to taste that fire. So like the Most High said, to come up out of her my people, for a wave shall destroy thee, man. If you can't see that we in the last days, then we can't help you, man. All right. So that we gonna say, call on him, La Yahawashi Shalom.